So you did it. You fell in love with someone that has kids, and you're in a relationship now where you are a step parent. Now, I don't know where you are at your stage in this journey. You might be at the stage where all your hair is falling out. I'm just kidding. My kids actually did this to me. You might be at the place where you're ready to run away. You might be at the place where you're ready to fight for what you think is right or what you think is yours. And I want to help you today to understand three key focus areas when it comes to being a step parent. My name is Thomas Shirley. I've been in the ministry for more than 25 years. I've worked extensively with young people and with families, and I'm here today to help you build your life better. In our modern age, what we define as family is extremely broad and very complex and diverse. We have all types of family situations going on in the world today. And even when it comes to the blended family, where you have a family that maybe has broken apart and now one of the parents has custody of the children, and you're stepping into that situation, you have now created a completely different dynamic. Now, there are many, many complexities that go along with this, and I'll be discussing this in future videos, but I want to encourage you, my friend, if you are step parenting, you are doing a truly noble thing, and we will talk at some point about making sure that the motives are right and what's going on there. But today we're going to discuss three key focus areas that will help you be more present and more efficient and more at peace in the situation that you now find yourself in with being a step parent. So to give you a little backstory, I have three children of my own. Two of them are grown. The other one is right there at it. She'll be 18 next year. And my children are absolutely amazing. They're extremely successful in what they're doing. They're learning how to completely build their lives right now and establish themselves as being a viable presence in the world and being a blessing to the world around them. Very, very proud of my kids. In addition to this, I've had three separate families over the years live with me with small children. And so I've spent a lot of time working with young people and working with parents, helping them know how to interact with their children so that a lot of the conflict and strife that comes up in child rearing, especially when the foundations of that relationship have been really shaken through abuse or traumatic situations, helping them learn how to parent their children and helping the children learn how to now build respect and honor into their relationship with their parents. It's very, very important stuff. I also was an administrator of a home for troubled teens for about a year and a half, and that experience was quite remarkable because I would spend time with the families of all the different children that came in the home, and I would help them also understand how to be an effective parent, how to rebuild trust, how to restore relationship. And then I would spend a lot of time with the children, helping them understand maybe some of the reasons things have been like they've been and ways that they can be a positive influence for change in their home life. About 2.5 years ago, however, I got baptized in a situation that has absolutely changed my life and in all good ways, so far as I can tell so far. I got into a relationship with a beautiful lady that has two small children of her own. Now, in our situation, she had a very rocky custody battle with her ex, and a lot of just dirt slinging was going on, a lot of difficulty, a lot of complication, and the children were just yanked back and forth a lot, as was the mother. And when I came into a relationship with this woman, she was just in the process of getting custody of her children, and it has been an unusual shit show, to say the least, but it has been filled with the beautiful fragrance of two amazing little girls that are absolutely as beautiful and sweet as they can be. And of course, I have this wonderful relationship with this beautiful lady. So today I want to speak to you from the heart of God into your life and help you maybe make a little bit of sense out of the situation you now find yourself in as a step parent. So the three key focus areas. Area number one, your primary and chief focus must be your mental, emotional, and spiritual health. If you do not establish yourself internally and find your center, so to speak, where the chaos, the different blows that come at you from being in a unique and different situation with stepchildren and a new spouse, if you don't find that center, man, this stuff that's coming at you, it's going to knock you off and you're going to blow it. You're going to get angry. You're going to speak harshly to the children. You're going to have resentment and bitterness toward your spouse, and you're going to really struggle going through this process. And by the way, I understand that maybe a bunch of you don't have a marriage license, couldn't care less. If you're in this situation, you are a step parent. And so your emotional, spiritual, mental health is the most important thing whatsoever. Now, I'm going to include a video at the end of the link and kind of talk a little bit to you specifically from the perspective of being a step parent. I'm going to give you a couple of techniques that will help you find your center, find that happy place where you can actually be that blessing and be that light to the people that you're now living with. After all, you did get into this relationship because you love them, right? But let me quickly in this video give you just a couple of pointers on how you can begin to get your center, begin to come into that place where the emotional chaos and turmoil, maybe of the divorce that was prior to this, and maybe a custody battle, or maybe extenuating circumstances that uh, make it more complicated and more difficult. Let me give you just a handful of ideas of how you can help yourself in this process. The first and most important thing for you to remember when you are focusing on getting your mental, emotional, spiritual stability and health in any situation, especially in this situation, is prayer or meditation. Whatever of those mediums helps you really commune with your inner man so that your spirit, your actual self, that beautiful, remarkable extension of the corporate consciousness is manifesting in your life. So maybe you're into prayer. Maybe you're a religious believer and you have a specific prayer regimen or a deity that you speak to. Perhaps meditation. The whole point of any of this really is about learning how to be quiet, become aware of the emotions and the thoughts that you are thinking in regard to the situation that you are dealing with. And in the awareness of understanding what is happening inside of you, you actually begin to lessen its power, and who you really are, like a cork, floats to the top. So prayer, meditation, very, very important. Quiet walks in the woods, maybe some ambient music that you like to play and that you can just sit in quiet and be still and find ways to do it. Maybe you live in a really noisy area and quiet's difficult. There's ways to do it. Do the best you can, but take time daily, several times a day if possible, to really focus on prayer and meditation, getting into that place of quietness. It's extremely important for you. Another thing that will really, really help you get your mental, emotional, spiritual health and get you grounded in the new environment that you all find yourselves in is actually being able to have frank discussions with your spouse, with your significant other. Now, this is something that my wife and I did not do when the kids became a major part of the scene. When she and I met, she was still in the process of getting the kids, so it was like a nonstop party for us, you know? We were in love, we were having fun, it was great, everything was wonderful, and then the kids came, and it was one of those things where they just kind of came all of a sudden. It was weird circumstances, but like once they got there, like we didn't have the brain power to even understand, like, hey, we should sit down and have some conversations and set boundaries and expectations, and what is my role and what is your role and how are we going to interact with the children. We didn't do that. So keep in mind, most of what I teach on my videos, especially about step parenting, probably has a lot to do with the mistakes that I've made and learned from those mistakes. So I'm moving forward in a better way and hopefully help you along in your journey. But discussing with your partner, how do we want to do the discipline? How do we want fun time to be? How do we want to handle finances? How do we want to handle these different things? And I will be discussing these details in greater detail later on in other videos. But for right now, just have that honest discussion. Like, what do you want me to be in this situation? How do you want me to operate in this situation? And then once the two of you have come to some solid understanding, at least in a handful of areas, like you're not going to get it all right. Keep in mind, there's a lot of past that leads into this relationship from both sides, and you're not going to get everything that you might think you're looking for in the situation. But try to nail out some of the bigger areas with your spouse. And then once you have a little bit of a united front on what you're doing, then you can go together and talk to the kids and say, listen, here's the situation, here's what's going on, and help them understand what everyone's goals are and what everyone's motives are. Very, very important. All right, so the second key area that you need to focus on follows very closely with the last part of what I said in the first focus area, and that is you really need to understand what roles you play. If you come into a situation as a step parent, are you there to replace an existing mother? Now, there are a lot of variables that could actually lend to that being the experience that is necessary? Are you there simply to be a friend? What is your role? How are you supposed to react to co-parents from the previous relationship? How are you supposed to interact financially? What are your goals when it comes to disciplining and structuring schedule and the home life? Now, this is going to vary widely on whether you're a guy or a lady, but at the end of the day, you have to determine what your roles are. When you know what your roles are and you have the support of the other spouse with you in this, and you know they're backing you up, that will really eliminate a lot of the struggle and strife and conflict that you're having internally and that is happening around you in your situation. And the third key focus area is to remain neutral. You need to really focus on this. This is very, very important, especially for the kids. You need to focus on remaining neutral to the previous family dynamic and the people involved in that dynamic that led to this place. It's very easy when you get into a relationship with someone who has past baggage to listen to the stories and hear what's being said and get wrapped up in the emotion of what is happening or what has happened in your spouse's experience. And when that happens, it automatically turns you and puts you as an enemy. It makes you someone that is at odds with or in conflict, at least in your own heart and mind, with the parent of, or the previous guardian or grandparent, whatever, but the person that this young life has associated with being their parent or their guardian or that person in their life that's truly meaningful in that role. Now, this puts you in a place where you're here to try to help this kid, you're here to try to help this kid's parent that you're with in a relationship, but you're angry and bitter at the former spouse and the parent of the children. And so what ends up happening is it comes into your experience with the kids, and maybe you don't say overt things, but everything you say and do is colored with that anger, with that bitterness, with that resentment, because how dare he treat you like that? And look at what it caused to you. And it may come out in full blown accusation and finger pointing and blaming and things like that. It's okay if that's happened. It's understandable, like it's a part of the process. But I'm trying to help you maybe build your life better in such a way where you can kind of let go of the baggage. You don't need to take up somebody else's offense. I get it. My spouse went through a very difficult, very shitty divorce and custody battle to get her kids, which is very unfortunate because she's an extremely present-minded, loving, doting mom. And but she's just been through hell in this. Well, when I met her and she started telling me the things that she'd gone through, at first I honestly didn't believe it. It just seemed so outlandish, you know. But then in the repetition, as I heard it again and again and again and again and again and again, it began to be clear to me that there was a pattern there. And then as she got her children and things unfolded there, it was like, okay, now I see it. But it caused me to take up the offense. It caused me to get very bitter, very angry, and I really had a hard time for a period of time speaking to the children about their father in anything other than at least a frustrated tone. And so I'm so grateful for the wonderful insights and healing that I'm getting right now in this area, because it's causing me to look at the children and recognize my desire for them is that they have the most beautiful relationship that they possibly can with their dad. I want the same thing for their mother. But for the children's sake, not him, you know, right? I mean, I still kind of got it in my head. I'd run him over with the bus, and I'm kind of kidding, but you know how it is. You get caught up in the emotion of things. But my goal is twofold, actually. I want the children to have a happy, prosperous, stable life. The other thing is, I want my spouse and her former spouse to have a proper working co-parenting relationship where they're able to work together and encourage each other and strengthen each other for the single goal of helping the children grow and expand in the ways that they need to. So you can't take up the offenses of the past. You can't sit in a place where you're in judgment of those things. You are going to have to forgive. You are going to have to let it go. Now, I'm going to include another video at the end, and it's a little teaching about a Hawaiian tradition called Ho'oponopono. And don't ask me how to spell it, I don't even want to try. But it's a very powerful, very short, very simple little prayer that will help you so very much in your journey as it pertains to forgiveness. A very simple way to clear the field, to clear the board, so to speak, so that you can now build and place the things that you desire to have in your experience so that you can live the life that you want to live. So I hope that you'll take the time to check that out. That will be a great blessing to you. Very simple, something you can do all throughout the day. It doesn't require much thought or attention. It's just something that you can do, and there's an anointing on it. It's very powerful, and it will absolutely help you break free from some of this. Forgiveness, however you do that. If forgiveness is easy for you, if it's hard for you, you have got to disconnect from the emotional baggage that was present before you came on the scene. So understand you are here to build a future for the family that you now have. That may include former lovers, it may include co-parents, it may include difficult situations and circumstances, but your goal now is to build a nuclear family where there's the greatest level of support for everyone. You're here to build a positive, beautiful future, not to fan the flames of the divisiveness that have taken place in the past. You're there to provide that stability for those kids. Can't be angry at the parents. It doesn't help at all. I pastored for 17 years, and after that, God transitioned me into a counseling ministry. Now, I don't have perspectives that might be commonly taught in churches about God and people, but I have a lot of insights and a lot of intuition. I'd like to help you out if you need help. I've placed a link in the description below where you can sign up and schedule a phone call, and we can get together on the phone and we can spend some time, and you can help me understand your unique family dynamic, the struggles that you're having in that family dynamic, and we can find positive strategies that will help you adjust things a little bit from your point of view, from your perspective, so that you can bring some peace. So I hope that you will take the time to do that. I look forward very much to talking to you if you do. Until next time, my friends, be blessed.